Hey, what's up, Mark? This is a quick demo video for you for the new Korbanth Sabine saber. This is installed with a Proffie. It's a saber that I got in the mail straight from Korbanth. I got it yesterday. I set right to work on it. I got a chassis designed up. That's what it has inside of it. And then I posted it for sale this morning, and you jumped on it pretty quick. So I appreciate you doing that. All right. This is a 2-button setup, but you have 2 different ways to operate the saber. So first is your clamp card. Your front plunger switch will be your power. Your back plunger switch will be your auxiliary. But you can also use the red cog wheel. So when you're holding this and the switch is facing up and you flip the cog over to the right, you flip this piece over to the right, that is power, and the other way is auxiliary, and I'll show you how to do all that. One thing I really appreciate about this model is when it came in the mail from Korbanth and I opened up this piece right here to install it, it already had a dual tactile PCB in there all ready to install, which made using this super easy. So I believe it was Sam over at Shadowfoil Props that designed this. I don't know that for sure though, but if he did, props to him, or if he didn't, props to whoever designed this saber and put that PCB in it, because it makes installing this guy very fun and easy to do. All right, you've got a blade plug in here for now. I just wanted to show you some shine through, but to get to your chassis, the only place this saber opens is the pommel. All right, so we'll just go ahead and take the pommel off. When you take this pommel off, you'll notice there is a Phillips head screw right in the center there. You can use that to adjust the sound venting if you like. I found that I don't really need to do anything like that, but if you wanted to mess around with that, you could. But you'll see your speaker here. Just take your saber in your hand and cup your other hand and go like this a few times. Once or twice, it will pop out and you can take this out. A 28 millimeter barely fits in this guy, right? I made my chassis a 1.1 inch diameter, which is the size of a 28 millimeter speaker. It was very tight in here, so I had to do some sanding. And then I also had to sand the speaker, so now it fits. If I had not sanded the speaker, it just wouldn't have fit. It's just underneath, but very important to get the 28 millimeter for me, so now it fits. There is, if you can see in there, which you can't, and I don't have my flashlight with me right now, but you can almost barely make it out. There's a 14-pin PCB system in there. This Switch Pixel PCB set from Albert over at Smuggler's Outpost, and that's how I get both of these switches to work, right? So there's a secondary chassis in there that's holding all that, and it stays in. That's what this red cog is wired to directly, and then it matches this PCB set right here, and this has a power and aux switch that helps me power up that red cog. And if I have the chassis outside of the saber, which I'm trying to show you right here, here's your actual switches for that. Now you'll notice I have an arrow on your chassis. I also have this little locating nub on here, and we'll talk about that here in a second because it's very important. All right, but this is what your chassis looks like. I tried to use a little bit of like this graffiti font that I found to spell Sabine. You have a removable battery setup. So this is a 18650. This will not come with a battery, so you'll need a keep power battery. That 28 millimeter Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker we were talking about. Your Proffie board. Now your Proffie board is just a snap fit into the shelf. You can pop it up, though you don't really need to. You can get to everything from right here. You just need a 90-degree data cable. All right. There's one sound font on this guy. It's the Staple Sword from Kyberphonic. I know it doesn't go with the Sabine. It just kind of goes a little bit with the theme. But look over there, over at Kyberphonic or Kasith. I believe they both have a Sabine sound font. All right. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that they do. So that would probably go more. It would go better with this saber. But flipping it over here, it just says Solo Sabers over here for me, and then of course these are your 2 switches. Now this arrow indicates that you need to line that arrow up with the top of your switch box. I can't show you because I don't have my flashlight, but when you get this in person, you're going to look inside there and you'll see that secondary piece of chassis that I've got. It's got a hole cut in it for this nub because that's how it needs to line up When this goes in that hole and everything lines up correctly, the chassis will go all the way into the Saber. These two tactile switches will be located right underneath your plunger switches, and the Saber will work correctly. All right. It's easy to do once you do it a few times. We'll come over here and we'll put a battery in. One thing I'll say about the battery too, and I'll show you how to do that, what I'm talking about. These Keep Power batteries, if I can show it on camera, they have a metal strip underneath the wrapping that goes from one side of the battery all the way to the other. I tried to put that over here on the side of the chassis, but not inside of it, and also not on the very top of the battery. All right, this is a very tight fitment, and because I had to do so much sanding to get that 28mm speaker in, it's important that you kind of pay attention to where that strip is when you're putting your battery in. And I also take the stickers off my battery as a little added help in fitment. All right. So when we get the battery in, we'll come over here and flip the switch.
Maybe I won't go easy on you this time.
Okay. And then when we go to put it in, remember that arrow right there gets lined up with your switch box. And of course that means your tactile switches, right? Your switch box is making a straight line over here to your tactile switches. And then when you get so far and you can't see that anymore, a good indicator is the side of your speaker. So you'll notice that tab on the speaker that I solder to, it's in line with this rib right here, which is in line with your switch box. All right, so that still makes a straight line that you can see all the way up until you push this in. And then you will want to push it all the way in with your fingers. Just don't push directly in the middle of the speaker. Push on the sides. All right, use 2 fingers, push on the sides, and then come over here and put your pommel on. All right, we'll lock the pommel all the way down. Come over here and hit power. You got some nice shine through on your blade plug. And this Saber sounds pretty beefy. So I didn't have to mess with that pommel at all. Auxiliary down here. We'll twist off. Now that's the switch box, which is located on the chassis, right? If you want to use the red cog, remember, push it off to the right. Now you got power again, and then push it to the left for auxiliary. It is on a spring system, so no matter which side you push it, it's going to rehome itself when you let go of it. All right, so let's go ahead and take your blade plug out, and we'll put a blade in. So slide right out. Just looks like that. You don't have to worry about that metal touching the pins. It will not do that. All right, and then this takes a 1-inch blade. You've got a set of Carl Chen V4 Neopixel connectors in here. So if you can see that, it is in a short PCB holder to give you as much blade depth as I possibly could. So we'll put our blade in here and come over here and lock it down. My blade is the tiniest bit loose in this guy, but I have sanded it quite a bit to fit different Sabers over the years. All right, so if you have a fairly new blade, you won't have that problem at all. So switch box, right? I'll do it again. We'll turn it off, and then we'll use the red cog auxiliary. Now, if you want blade lock up, you'll need to hold down the auxiliary and hit the Saber. When you do that, this mechanism here is fine. All right, I find it if I'm going to be abrasive with the Saber and hit it for blade lock up, I'd rather do it on the switch box because it's just more robust. So we'll turn it on. Hold down auxiliary and hit the Saber. Now you've got blade lock up. You'll see it next to the emitter when your Saber is vertical. And then as you go horizontal, of course, it'll move towards the middle of the blade, which you can't see here because it's a test blade, but it is set up for a full-length blade. But the red cog is very fun to play with, and it's very responsive. This does have the one sound font on it, but there is a copy of the config file that I use still on the SD card in case you want to make any changes. All right, but if you did have multiple fonts, of course, and you wanted to go to the next one, you would just tap auxiliary.
He's been working on that thing for weeks. What kind of lightsaber could he possibly build with the junk we have laying around?
It's a bit of flash on flash. And we'll do a twist off like that. All right, we'll come over here and take this out. I'll put your blade plug back in, and we'll take the chassis out just to also show you that the kill switch works. All right, so this will come with your blade plug, obviously. This will also come with a little bag of Allen wrenches and some spare springs for your red cog, although I don't think that you'll ever need them. There's 2 springs in there already and they act fine, but I'll go ahead and send it just because it came with the kit. All right, but we're going to take this off real quick. Again, take our hand like this, slide it right out, and then we could turn it on from here by just pressing the tactile switch. All right, and then come over here and flip our kill switch and turn it off, and it kills power. When you want to take your battery out, come over here from the positive side by the speaker. If you can't get it with your hand because it is pretty tight, just use a tool and you can pop it right out. All right, but that is basically the Sabine Wren saber from Korbanth. Let me know if you have any questions, and being that it's Friday afternoon, I'll probably get this out in the mail to you first thing on Monday. All right, thanks, man.